slithers into the jungle, call it python time. Bold constriction got them wrapped, they entwine. Educational bites, better sharpen your mind. Lens focus tight, capture moments in time. Scales gleaming under lights, stay exotic and rare from the...
You're welcome to another episode of SnakePrinceVlogs. I'm your host, Prince Elias, and when y'all see that I'm at work, when y'all see I'm at my desk, that means I got a pickup today. I haven't gotten it yet. It's early in the morning. School hasn't started, but on my lunch break, I'm going to FedEx to pick up a package from my boy Darian at Azani Reptiles. And so I'm super excited. If you see the title and the thumbnail, then you know I'm talking about, or my pickup is a controversial, in quotation, gene. Basically, I'm not going to go through the whole history, do your own research, but there's a gene out there that was founded by Chris Herndon. Side note, I need to, editing Elias is here. I need to make a correction, a big mistake I made. Earlier, I said that this was founded by Chris Herndon. Wrong. I know Chris Herndon because of all the scrambler stuff. He didn't found this. He didn't first produce it. The person who produced the scrambler gene was Marcus Jane. So Marcus Jane bought pythons. So my bad. My bad. Please forgive me. Charged to my head, not my heart. It's Marcus Jane. Marcus Jane started, founded, produced the first scrambler, not Chris Herndon. So I just had to come and do editing, Elias, to fix that. My bad. Anyways, yes, let's continue the vlog. And in certain combos, it looks amazing. It looks very good. But people are questioning it. They think it's a scam. They think that it's not really legit and that it's probably just line breeding, or what I like to joke and call the Game of Thrones inbred type thing. Or it's just, you know, some line bred, very good Orange Dream, or anywho. Like I said, I'm not finna go through the whole history and rundown. There are plenty of interviews with Chris Herndon, plenty of shows, podcasts with him, talking and discussing it. So take that, do your own research, take that what you will. I will say that when it comes to believing whether it's a real gene or not, I am half and half. And it's only the reason why I'm not 100% like, yeah, this is a real gene, I believe it, yada yada. And it's only because, but at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, it's scambler, it's a scam, it's fake. The reason why I'm half and half on it is because I know people who are not Chris Herndon, outside of Chris Herndon, who have worked the gene and they've pretty much isolated it away from the calicos, away from the orange dreams, away from pie, you know, the typical stuff that you always see scrambler in, all over. So including one of my close friends and brothers, Ball Ross, that's what we call him, Heathen Hatchery. He actually isolated, produced a single gene scrambler. However, the baby did die in the egg, so it didn't make it, but he took pictures of it, and he's shown it. He's been very transparent if you ask him. But and then it's not just him, it's other people who have also, you know, bought into the scramblers and isolated it and took it outside of calico, took it outside of orange dream, black pastel, the usual suspects that are in those scrambler combos, pies. So I say all that to say, do I believe scrambler deserves the high price tag? Probably not. At least, especially now that we don't have shed testing. And as y'all know, if y'all been paying attention, you know, it happened to Lace. It's happening right now to Mandarin. There's a breeder that sold a lot of Mandarin, and people I personally know, and their shed test came back not for Mandarin. And now that person has taking all their animals off Morph Market. Like if you go to their page, it's empty, it's gone ever since that scandal. And they've been ducking and dodging people's DMs and not answering, not responding. So, you know, a reckoning is happening thanks to shed testing, which, you know, I don't hate shed testing. I love it, but I also can see where the cons are. Human error, people sending sheds wrong, wet, dirty, you know, getting false positives, false negatives. There's good and bad in everything in this hobby, but I love the science of it. I love the research of it. I love the curiosity of it. So I'm gonna continue to send shed tests. I sent shed tests when it came to my dinkers, did full panel tests and things like that, just to eliminate what's already available. Granted, there are a lot of different lines of yellow belly. There are different lines of pastels, black pastels, you name it. Red stripe, you know, there's so many different variants, and like I like to joke, Game of Thrones breedings, polygenics and polymorphic reactions, whatever you call them. So, but at the same time, I just love the science of it all, the curiosity of it all. And I think it's a great tool to use in your arsenal. Do I believe everything 100%? No, because again, there have been people who are known to have false positives and false negatives to known recessives, very mainstream recessives, something as simple as a het clown or a het pied that was tested negative, and then they bred those animals anyway, and the animals themselves proved through breeding that they were actually positive for that. So, and the other way around, people who got shed tested came back positive, and then through years and years of breeding turned out to be negative. So again, it's a give or take. It's a risk in everything. What you're willing to spend your money on is all up to you. Like I said, I don't hate shed testing. I don't doubt it. But at the same time, you know, they're good and bad, pros and cons. And at the end of the day, it's all, you know, human error all around, whether it's the breeder shipping the sheds, the people at the labs, whatever. It is what it is. But I say all that rambling to say that I decided, like I said, there's a risk in everything. There's a give and take in everything. People took risks with lace. People took risks with mandarin. People took risks with a lot of genes in the past, and it either became very fruitful for them in a good way, or it became detrimental. But it's the risk we take when we're working with animals and genes and genetics and all this other stuff. And so I decided to take a risk at some possible scramblers. I almost said orange dreams. That's why I paused. Possible scramblers that are isolated away from orange dream, isolated away from calico, isolated away from all the usual suspects that you see it with, black pastels, all that stuff. And so I decided to take a risk with two females. And the only reason why I took this risk, because Darian was one, upfront and honest. He said it's possible. He's not 100% sure because he's never seen it isolated within himself. He just did his own research, searching online, asking other breeders, searching through Morph Market, and coming up with the conclusion that he believes that they really are single gene scramblers. Of course, they do have het clown, I think. Another reason why I took the risk, because y'all know I don't like clown, is because they're females. So I could, you know, work them and not spread them around throughout my collection. Spread the clown, the het clown, around throughout my collection and stuff. But they are females. That's one of the reasons why I decided to take this risk. And two, he did not charge a scrambler price. Like, to me, the price was very reasonable. To me, the price was a steal. If they do prove out to be actually scrambler, like a real gene, like if, you know, years from now, maybe before I even get a chance to breed them, you know, a scrambler test is made. Hopefully, we'll know, who knows, never say never. But if a scrambler test was to pop up and I get them shed tested and come to find out they are truly scrambler, then I came out with a real deal. If a scrambler test comes out and I get them shed tested, and, you know, in the future, and it turns out that they're not scrambler and they're just, you know, het clown, het pie, whatever, het clown pie, I believe this is a double het, yeah, then I just got some really good, nice hits. Very good, and they look good. They look amazing visually. And you know, they were just very well line bred, you know, genetically, polygenic, whatever. And if it turns out to not be scrambler, then I'm not sad. I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, I wasted so much money, I've been ripped off, blah 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 blah, because I did not pay the high price tag for them. Matter of fact, shoot, like I said, even including shipping and everything, I really came out with a good deal. I really came out with a steal. Darian really hooked me up with something that could be risky, but it was a risk, a chance I was willing to take and make. So we'll see how the future holds. Like I said, by the time because they're babies, by the time they're able to breed, maybe one of the, or if all the shed testing companies decide to make a scrambler test, then hey, then I'll have a definite answer, yes or no. But if it turned out no, I'm not going to be sad about it, because I got some good females to go into breeding plans. And I do plan on using them in a few dinkers. And I do plan on using them in a few of the mainstreams. I categorize my stuff mainstream, dinkers. That's how I categorize my breeding projects. So there are certain projects I want to use, but I am determined to not use them at all in any of my calicos. I'm not going to breed them to any of, I only got one orange dream in my collection, surprisingly, because when I restructured and redid my breeding plans and sold some animals, I got rid of majority of my black pastels except for maybe 3, and I got rid of all of my orange dreams except for Powerline, who is one of my snakes with disabilities because of his shark mouth, and I have no plans on breeding him ever. Even though shark mouth doesn't affect his breeding, I have no desire to breed him. He's just a pet and a educational ambassador. So if we're not including Powerline, I really have no orange dream in my collection. So I don't want to breed any of those females with any of the mainstreams that they are known to be in. If you can easily find a bunch of scramblers with certain genes like the calicos, the black pastels, the high ODs, the ODs, whatever, I don't plan on breeding these girls to none of those. And because I want to see what they do and how they react to other things, a lot of obscure things. I am working on some obscure genes that are older, that are well known, but just not utilized, not used a lot. I'm not breeding them to pies, even though they are head pies, and I love pies. But the thing is, we see scrambler in so many pies. What's the point of me working that into my projects? It's just gonna muddy the waters if we're trying to prove that scrambler is or isn't something legit. Why would I muddy the waters and continue to breed with the same genetics that we've already seen 1,000 times, and people still say they can't tell if scrambler is in a pied? So like, I don't plan on breeding that part. So I know right now, I know the males that I want to work with them with in the future, but I'm not gonna speak on that right now because, again, they are more obscure. They're not, there might be older genes that already exist, but they're not mainstream. They're not a part of the big 3 or the big 4 or the big 5, you name it. They're not part of anything that you will see on Chris Hernan's Morph Market page that he's worked. You know, I really want to go left if people are going right. You know, that's the mindset of the hobbyist in me. That's the mindset of the Dinkerville in me. That's just how I want to work these genes. And like I said, it's a very low risk, high reward in this aspect. Again, because they're females, I'm not going to be spreading them throughout my collection and muddying the waters and confusing myself and confusing anybody else. And I don't plan on overproducing anything. I'm never going to be sitting here pairing 10 snakes together just to better my odds and hope. Like, I'm not doing that shit. That's not the type of breeder I am. But I'm excited. I'm excited to take the risks. I'm excited to have fun with this and do the scientific of it all. And one thing Ash said that really stuck with me forever is that we're not in the convincing business. We're not here to try to convince anybody of anything. We're just doing what we love and we're having fun with it. If you got to sit here and try to convince somebody that a gene is legit or the gene is real, it's just pointless in my eyes. And that's including mainstream and that's including dinkers. So, you know, if you're a believer, cool. If you're not a believer, also cool. I'm not, me, Elias, Creative Reptiles, is not in the business of trying to convince y'all that Scrambler is real. I'm just going to play around with it and see what happens, and whatever happens, happens. Will you see me trying to post Scrambler for thousands of dollars? No. But at the same time, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to see what they produce. I'm going to see for myself if it really is isolated, if it really is legit, and you know, I'm going to have fun. And again, it was very low risk, very low money was spent. And if it turns out to be legit, if the future they finally release a test and it comes out that they really are a scrambler, I got in good. So anyways, I digress. Let me stop all this rambling and talking about the gene and the controversy behind it. Let me show you the animals in the next clip, because like I said, I haven't gotten them yet. I will get them on my lunch break. But in the next clip, with the exact same camera, in raw form, no color grade, no nothing, I will show y'all what these snakes look like right here on my desk. And then after school, when I clock out, because it's a lot warmer outside today, I will show them for a few seconds outside in the sunlight, in the natural sunlight, so y'all can see that. And y'all be the judge for yourself. Comment below, do you think Scrambler is real? Do you think it's a sham? Like I said, I'm not in the convincing business. I'm not here to convert or convince anybody of anything. I'm just sharing my journey as a breeder, just like I shared my journey as a YouTuber. I shared my journey as a podcaster. I shared my journey as a photographer. I'm doing the same thing as breeding, just having fun, documenting everything. And if it fails, cool, I learned a lesson. If it succeeds, hey, we in it good. And I took a risk, and the risk was rewarding. So anywho, next clip you will see the animals themselves, the girls themselves. I will introduce them, give y'all their names, what I decided to name them. And I'll show you both the raw footage of them inside this classroom on my desk, and also outside in direct sunlight when it's a lot warmer outside after I clock off work. But anywho, I will chat with y'all later. All right, this is raw footage of the girls. Supposed to be Scrambler, double head clown pied. Try to show their head stamps. Again, they're females. And I'll let y'all be the judge. And of course, I'll get some video of them outside in natural sunlight. But I decided to name them THENA and MAKKARI from the Internals, Marvel's The Internals. But they look real good, look real nice. So again, even if they prove to not be Scrambler and they're just some double hets, guess what? It wasn't a big loss for me. Ain't nothing to cry home about. But we'll see what the future holds and what their future holds.
Knowledge getting deeper just like aliens. Snap a pic, hit the click, ain't no need to be weird. Creative reptiles where the knowledge flows. Ball pythons in the cut, ready to pose. Boa constrictors lurking, everybody knows. Education meets cool and every friend he exposed. Brazilian kingdom, every episode a trip. Handling with care, never gonna slip. Shedding light on myths, let that truth drip. Reptile wisdom, come and get a grip. Slither and slide,